MDS.
Hey, this is Cameron from Lincoln Yu-Gi-Oh! And here with Andy O'Donnell, who's building Magician Dracoslayers.
Okay, to start with monsters, we run 3 Bambuku. It basically searches all lower Majespecter monsters. Bit weak, but he does the job. 3 QB. Probably the best Majespecter monster in the deck. He searches the traps. He has a Majespecter have their own searchable tolerance strike. It's like a bit of a fear factor because they know they have to play around that. 2 Kirin. Basically, he's an untargetable Pleiades. Doesn't have to bounce himself, he can bounce any other Pendulum monster, so I can keep him on board to make Tempests and Tornadoes more live. Okay, on to Dracoslayers. 1 Luster, because you can only run 1, sadly. 2 Master, because Luster's at 1. And he's, if anything, he's a beat stick. He's 1950 beat stick and really strong. 2 Vector, to complete the face-off lineup. He's also a very good anti-meta card against the likes of, sometimes against Pepe, Ignite and Dynamist. Okay, on to Magicians. 3 Wisdom Eye. Basically, he fetches your scale if you have another Magician in your Pendulum scale. So if you have 2 of him, it's just an instant rank 4. 1-0 fits another target for Tempest and Tornado. 2100, so he's pretty beefy. And if you summon him, he can recover a Magician from the graveyard. 1 Pulse and 1 Pit. Again, very good, very flexible scales with a 1-8. You know, quite good for punishing discard a Pendulum monster to either pop a spell trap or pop a monster. If I could, I'd bump him up to 2. 1 Skull Crobat. Searches my Magicians. Not really much else to say. 1 Tuning Magician. Very good for Synchro plays if I have Magicians in my Pendulum scales. If anything, I would drop this for another Dragon Pulse, because I feel like this card does brick at times. That's it for the Magicians.
Out of curiosity, why do you play like the Magician engine instead of playing more Majespecters and making it just purely Majespecter Dracoslayers?
I like the flexibility that Magicians give you in terms of rank 4 plays. Like, especially with Wisdom Eye, you can go into whatever scale you want really. You have a 1-8 scale, you have a 2-8 scale, you have a 1-5 or 2-5. You've always got rank, like level 4 access, and it can make some really, really explosive plays. Which I quite like.
For like the broader scale, and
yeah, it gives you more access. I can Pendulum summon my Oath Dragons and Kyrians if need be, so it makes them a bit less dead. It makes them a bit less costly. And 2 Eccentric, because she basically it's a double pop in most situations. Activate, pop a spell trap, goes into the extra deck. Pendulum, activate another Pendulum her back out, pop a monster. And if she's a level 3, so she's good for Breaksword access. And finally, 1 Global. This is mainly for access to Nature Beast, which is why another reason why I want to bump Dragon Pulse up to 2, just so it's a bit more consistent. And also with Instant Fusion and Norden, it can be brought back for Trish plays. So that's 24 monsters, I believe. On to spells. 3 Wavering Eyes, because it's basically a Pendulum deck staple. Pop your scales, it's a bit of a reset button sometimes. Search Eccentrics if you need to out something like this deck really suffers to Mask Restrict, like a hell of a lot. So Wavering Eyes, pop your scales, get Eccentric, pop Mask. Job's good 'un.
Pretty good.
And also it searches maybe a Bambuku if I'm desperate for a scale. If I want to get Breaksword out, it just speeds up plays. 3 Pendulum Call. I run Magicians. I have a few cards I can, I guess, afford to discard in terms of Tuning Magician, Glow Up Bulb. And because I run 2 Instant Fusion, I can recover them back if it's a level 4 I discard. 3 Face Off, because it's basically a 3+1. You know, depending on the situation, you can either go into a Luster or a Master. In terms of ratios, I run 3 to 2 Vector just because I want to see this. It's just a great card to combo. And finally, last 2 spells, 2 Instant Fusion. Because instant Norden, going to, if I have a level 4 in the grave, more than likely through Pit and Pulse, through Pendulum Call, I can just Norden it back. Makes for some explosive plays. So let's say they strike my Pendulum Summon, I have an out. I have a way back into the game.
Yeah. Recovery plays.
Yeah, exactly. On to trap lineup. In terms of Majespecter traps, play 2 Tempest.
Why only 2?
Because, well, if in an ideal scenario, these will be strikes. In an ideal scenario. And I'd run no Tempest and 3 strikes. But because this is still searchable through QB, I feel like there's great utility play. It's still there as a disruption.
It's a suitable substitute.
Exactly.
Same effect, so yeah.
If I could, I'd have strikes and maybe bump Tornado up. Because Tornado is a very good card to use in certain matchups. Very good for disruption, very good against the likes of Draco Pal. Because let's say they get that luster out, I can just banish that luster and it stops a lot of plays. 1 warning and 1 strike. Like I said, in an ideal world, my Tempests would be strikes, but this isn't an ideal world. And warnings there because it's Solemn Warning. It's a very good card this format, and it probably will be for multiple formats to come. So that's 40 card main deck. Onto my extra deck. I'll start with my rank 4s. So I have 1 Trapeze Magician. This will probably be dropped for something, probably either Majesta or Hope Harbinger. But for the time being, it's a very good card to enable OTKs. So if I can get this and Ignis on board, it's game-breaking damage. 1 Nightmare. I hate this card. It's a lot weaker than it was, but it can still against Rogue sometimes, and against the odd scrub it is good for disruption plays. But it will probably get dropped for a Giant Hand probably. 1 Castel, because it's Castel. It's a rank 4 staple. Discard 2, detach 2, shuffle monster and something into the deck. Instant fusion it back. So potentially you're getting something for nothing. 1 Majesta. This is a card I'm considering bumping up to 2 because it allows for good recovery plays with Luster and Master. And a lot of the time, if I have just the 1, they're going to target that Majesta just because people know it, that I will need it to go back sometimes into Luster if I have no scale. So to have 2 of these and be able to go on 2 of these, it just increases consistency a lot more. Searches an M phase so I can set up for a play for next turn. 2 Abyss Dweller because I hate PK Fire and Burning Abyss. And against Cosmo as well, it really helps, and I think it's necessary at 2. 1 Phantom Knight's Breaksword, because there's a lot of combos you can do with this card. You can target Kyrian and get Kyrian back, then chain Kyrian to itself. Basically, you remove 2 for the cost of 1 monster. You can do it on one of your scales if you activate a Pendulum Call. So my card won't be destroyed yet. My opponents will. It's a very versatile card, and even if need be, it's a Scrap Dragon. And 1 F-Zero, because I don't run any number monsters in terms of rank 4, and he outs Destroyer, he outs Dante, and he's just a very, very fantastic card. Synchros. 1 Trishula. Very good card to open first turn. Take a card out of your opponent's hand. Late game as well, it can really, really, really take game sometimes. 2 Ignista. It's Ignista. Non-targeting removal, it's very, very good. 1 Naturia Beast, because I hate everything, pretty much. Good against monarchs, good against everything but BA really. 2 Norden, because rank 4 players instant fusion. And 1 Dinoster, protect scales. It's good for Hope Harbinger, which I will eventually get, hopefully. and it recovers a Dracoslayers from grave.
Pretty good.
Two Majesties.
You hate everything.
I hate everything. And these are supposed to be Stormforths, but this is
the guy that can't get a strike is using a proxied ultimate rare for
Quite
the
you,
Chalice. Take
quite
notes
you.
of that.
yeah, this is me. Yeah, this is basically for Majesty's Fiend for Kyrian. It's a really pretty card. 2 Maxi for the likes of PK Fire and Dracopal. No, I am. 2 MST for more back row hate, so if I'm facing something like an anti-spell, or not even
Would you
anti-spell.
ever switch that out to Twin Twisters?
Potentially, because sometimes this card can be afforded with certain cards I can instant fusion them back. Raigeki for mass removal against a lot of decks. If I have Dweller up, it's very good against Cosmo and PK Fire and BA. These are both supposed to be Stormings, very good against Cosmo, very good against a lot of rogue decks. And just, it's probably the best Mirror Force out at the moment. 1 Quaking, because it's funny. And a lot don't really know how to deal with this card, really, sometimes. And finally, because I hate Cosmo just that extra bit much, I run 2 Imperial Iron Wall. Stops a lot of banishing, stops the banishing effects of Phantom Knights as well, and just overall just a very useful card in today's format. And that is my Magician Dracoslayers
Would you ever
deck.
go to the Performer Power?
I'm considering it because sometimes I felt like when I'm top decking, I need that extra scale. With Monkey Board, it just gives me a free scale which I can go into. It's better for recovery, better consistency. So in future, if I can ever get Pendulum Sorcerers, I will go to that build.
Okay, seems pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you.